Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional. As you can tell from the slightly different style of music, this is going to be a slightly different style of episode. It's something we call Story Chat, where we sit down with an author, a filmmaker, or any kind of storyteller really, and talk to them about their life and their work in a real fun and laid-back way. So sit back, relax. Unless you're going for a jog, then run faster. It's story time. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Stories, the True and the Fictional, or Story Chat as we like to call it. This episode is brought to you by Rebecca Cassells and the Rising Dawn series. Check it out on Amazon in paperback and Kindle if you like werewolf romance and stuff like that. Check it out there. But on today's episode, we have Justin T. Hunt. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure to have you. So for those that don't know who you are, give us a rundown. Who is Justin T. Hunt?
Well, I am 30 years old. About to be 31 in August this year, in fact. I've been writing since I was about 7 years old. Writing is my passion. It's just something that I've always loved to do. And I have a great imagination for many different things, many different stories, and I get inspiration from anything. It's actually quite crazy how often I get inspiration from stuff. So it's really good.
Yeah, it sounds like we have similar. Your mind just wanders and you just create worlds, and you wish you could record your dreams, probably, because there'd be a lot of, good stuff from that.
Sometimes it's like having a film reel in my dreams. I feel like, there's gonna be a way I could transform that into an actual movie, because then people might actually see it too.
Well, that'd be amazing if you could have the ability to just get your thoughts on paper instead of having to sit there and type it all out, and We actually had an interview with someone who was in prison, and he wrote a whole lot of books in prison, but with pen and paper.
That would have been interesting.
The old school, he's written 50 books or something, and he always wrote no internet, no Google. It's the old traditional. I got to go down the library if I want to learn about this and learn about that, and he wrote it down on pen and paper.
How did he get it published?
Well, once he, I can't remember. It's been a while. I can't even think of his name. We interviewed. He's on the Stories and True and the Fictional YouTube channel. I'll put it in the show notes for those. I just can't remember his name right now. It's eluding me. But he, it's killing me. So I'm going to look it up right now.
It's fine. It's all good.
Jim Riley is his name.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys can check that out on the Stories True and Fictional YouTube channel, or the podcast if you scroll back a fair way. But yeah, he was like an ex-convict, and he wrote all his books in prison and got a publisher through it all. And the pen and paper thing, I can't get my head around it. That'd be so hard to.
It would be. I imagine it would be. And it if only there was an invention that you could put into your ear or something, and download it. Just downloads the idea straight onto your story, something like that. You don't have to do the writing. Your mind does it for you.
That'd be amazing.
That would be amazing.
We'll talk to Elon Musk, and he'd be the one to do it, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would work something out.
The guy's insanely intelligent. But look, every episode when we get someone on, we have these icebreaker questions. So are you ready to answer the big five?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, and we always say, look, this doesn't have to be political. A lot of people go, all the political, the Miss Universe answers, that sort of thing. This is for a bit of a fun, bit of a laugh. So if you could get rid of one thing in the world, what would it be?
Mannequins. I know. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. I knew what that was going to be straight away.
Yeah.
I have had a huge fear of mannequins pretty much my whole life. In fact, I actually wrote um a sort of bad guy in one of my stories based around that fear. And I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something about mannequins, particularly the ones that actually have the human eyes,
Yeah.
scare the hell out of me every
Yeah.
single time. And
Yeah.
I just sort of think to myself, what I mean, I can understand why shops had them back in the day, but why
Yeah.
have them now when
Yeah.
you have models that will do the same thing, or you can
Yeah.
have online shops and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I really do not like them at all. I
Yeah.
think they're terrified, and
Yeah.
if they really like, let's be honest, if this whole AI controlling the universe at some point actually does happen, I'm fairly certain that robots would utilize mannequins to their,
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we have a whole planet full of mannequins and robots.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had a friend way back when they had one in his house, and they just put it in random places.
Yeah.
Just like, here's a mag, and they play pranks on each other because a bunch of housemates, and they put it in the hallway in the middle of the night, and then people would walk in and go, "What the?" Yeah. But they kind of there is something a little creepy about them, isn't there?
I've always thought so. My mom used to have this samurai statue, um, and she had it for years. But she got it because obviously she wanted to use it as a decoration for the house originally. And then she got it into her head that it was supposed to be used as some kind of protection for the family. I'm not sure where she got that idea from. And I hated the thing. I absolutely hated the thing. I'm just like, this thing is going to come to life and it's going to pummel us in our sleeps without us knowing. I was more than certain that that was going to happen. And it took me years to finally get around to getting used to it. But when my mom remarried, and now my current stepdad saw it, even he saw it and he was like, yeah, can we get rid of this, please? So now it's long gone. I don't know where it is, and thank God. Mom, if you're watching this, I apologize, but it was scary as hell. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from mannequins. And what's something on your bucket list?
Oh, I've always wanted to go to Egypt and actually explore Tutankhamun's tomb. I think that would
Wait. So you're okay with mummies, but you're not okay with mannequins?
I know it's a little bit bizarre. I'm more interested in the history. I'm more interested in all the artifacts and learning the history and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I want to stay as far away from the actual mummies as possible.
Yeah.
But no, I've always had this fascination with history, particularly Egyptian history. And when I was younger, I really liked the story of Tutankhamun for some reason, and even like the discovery of his tomb was an interesting mystery. The whole idea of this curse that possibly was put onto all these different people, and it really fascinated me, and I've been wanting to actually go there and visit the tomb ever since. And if I could have the chance to do that, I would absolutely take that chance.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've always been fascinated with Egypt, but through sci-fi. Like Stargate is heavily Egyptian stuff, and of course Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. you know, those old school things. That's what really got me thinking about Egypt and all that stuff.
Mm.
So do you think the pyramids were made by aliens or
No, no,
no?
I don't believe that. No.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The idea of aliens is interesting, but I don't think they were built by aliens.
No.
Um, Personally, like if aliens existed, I kind of feel like they would see that as a waste of their intelligence.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, we're going to come to this earth and we're going to give you a knowledge, but we're not going to, actually help you with this knowledge. We're going to specifically build pyramids out of blocks, huge blocks, that just for keeping track of your pharaohs. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't add up to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't add
yeah,
up. So
yeah.
no, I don't believe that they
Yeah,
were built
no.
by aliens at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
but I've always like again, I am kind of interested in the idea of aliens, which is
yeah,
interesting because I myself am a Christian. But I do kind of have this small belief that there is aliens out there. I don't 100% believe it, but I'd say it's more like 50-50.
yeah.
Part of me believes it, part of me doesn't. So I
Mm,
guess, you have this situation where as a Christian we believe that God created everything and
yep,
everyone. If he created such a big universe, and we have proven that it is a very big universe,
yep,
um, why would he only put sentient life on one planet? It just
yeah.
doesn't really seem to add up to me.
And the other interesting thing is that where we are in the galaxy is perfect for observing everything.
Mm.
You know, like you get better views from here than you do on Saturn or Mars, or
Mm. And we just so happen to be perfectly spaced away from the sun so that we
Yeah,
actually get, the heat from the sun, but we don't get
yeah,
killed by it.
yeah. That definitely has that designed vibe, doesn't it? you know,
Yeah, I don't believe in the whole Big Bang theory, and I do apologize
really,
if that goes
that's fine.
against anyone else's thing. But I don't believe in the Big Bang theory. I don't believe in evolution, um, mainly because it just feels like you pointed out, it feels like it's too much of a coincidence for these
Yeah,
things to have happened.
yeah. Well, no, well, I'm more like, look, I don't believe there's enough evidence to support evolution in the
Mm,
sense. And when I say evolution, I'm saying we were once goobity goos in a slop somewhere, and then now we're people like that. So
yeah.
there's definitely a different kind of evolution, like change over time, obviously. But no, but I believe in the Big Bang. You know,
Okay.
but,
Yeah. It's an interesting one to look into, I guess.
yeah,
And as a Christian, we believe in God and heaven and earth, that sort of stuff. But I do like to hear other people's thoughts on their own beliefs.
yeah,
I don't take it by heart,
yeah,
but I'm more than happy to allow someone else to be like, oh well, this is what I believe, and
yeah,
this is my evidence to what I believe, and I'll be
yeah,
like, okay, fair enough. This is my evidence for what I believe,
yeah,
and we could sort of work
yeah,
things out,
yeah,
and um, I'm the sort of person that um, is, I guess, willing to accept other people's point of views. I think
yeah.
that's the best
Well,
way of
you're
putting
willing
it.
to listen to them. You're willing to be respectful.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's a hard thing to find these days, isn't it? It's like
Especially on
people
the
don't.
internet.
Yes, just get off Twitter. Um, yeah. Like it's just why I don't argue on the internet, because I would rather sit down with someone and have a conversation where you're not going to get misunderstood. You know, and
Face-to-face conversations work far better than
yeah,
just typing on the computer.
yeah, yeah.
Far better than that.
Keyboard warriors, as they call it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, let's lighten the mood with one of Ryan's favorite questions, and he's sorry he can't be here. But what is the greatest sitcom ever made?
Oh, that's a tough one. Depends on what you really refer to as sitcom, because I myself, I love English comedy.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I classify it like let's
but
say
like,
like
wait, do you refer to science fiction comedy or more based on reality comedy?
no, well, let's just define what a sitcom is. It's like I'll just throw out some examples. You've got Red Dwarf would be a sitcom.
Mm,
You've got Black Books, I would say, is a sitcom.
mm.
And you've got Friends. You've got Seinfeld. You know, it's like that half hour, you know,
Yeah,
comedic kind of show.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. I wasn't entirely sure what you meant by that, but okay, that gives me a better idea. Um, if I had to choose personally, this is from my point of view, of course. Um, my absolute favorite, and hands down, everyone should watch it, is
Mm,
Red Dwarf,
mm.
100%. But I will say this: only the first 9 seasons.
The first 9 seasons, yeah,
Yeah, well, there's actually like 11 or 12 now. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I absolutely loved Red Dwarf. Growing up, I watched Lister and all of his chaos unfold, and by far my favorite episode is the polymorph one. Absolutely
Mm,
love that episode. And yeah, just the sense of humor and the wit, the fast paced action, and all that, it was really combined very
mm,
well. Um, and I definitely think it's worthwhile checking out. So
yeah,
anyone out there who hasn't checked it out,
yeah,
go see Red Dwarf. It is
yeah.
definitely worth your time.
Well, our sponsor Rebecca Cassells, I think she's in agreement. She loves Red Dwarf as well, um, and I think a friend of hers met one of the characters. I can't
Oh
even remember.
yeah,
I can't even remember them now. Like met them on the street somewhere or something, and then got him to record a voicemail.
that
You
would have
know,
been cool.
you
That
know,
would have been
I
awesome.
can't. I apologize. I can't remember much from like the early days of the podcast because I've been working that much. My brain is just mush at the moment. But yes, I accept your answer. Red Dwarf is pretty awesome. Um,
And second would be Black Books, as you mentioned before. Definitely
I
Black
I
Books.
love Black Books. The only thing wrong with Black Books is it's only what 13 episodes.
Yeah, there was
And I'm
only
just
three
like,
seasons, which
yeah,
is criminally undershort. Just
yeah,
like they could have brought, they could have kept it going. They could
yeah, yeah.
have.
Yeah, I love
Favorite episode?
that. That's really hard, but oh, jeez, favorite episode of Black Books. I really like the one where they write a kid's book.
Oh yeah, yeah, that one's good.
And it's too good; they have to get rid of it. Um, ah, the one where Bernard gets locked out of his own shop with the security system.
Yeah, and he takes up a job as a
Yeah,
McDonald's type
yeah,
restaurant server,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, I do remember that one.
yeah.
My favorite episode by far is the piano one.
Yes, yes, with the three blind mice. Yeah,
The 3 old guys coming in, and
yeah,
it's just like,
yeah,
this is
yeah,
my grandpa, this is my grandpa. Like,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
She's a prodigy, and Bernard's in there with
I can't get
spoons.
a refund because it's all the bloody spoons.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
It
Um,
was good. It was a good series, and I really wish it could have gone on just a little bit longer. Maybe
yeah,
5 seasons would have been fine, but I
yeah.
guess
But
they probably saw it as just that was fine enough.
well, that's not the British thing to do, is it? To go more than 3 seasons. you know.
Unless you
Uh,
read The Wolf, of course.
yes, yeah. Well, I think that's the exception. That's the exception. Um, all right. How do you feel about zombies? Do you have a zombie apocalypse plan?
No, not really. My ultimate plan for that would be to find the nearest bunker, no matter who it belongs to,
Yeah.
and probably sneak in there with a whole bunch of food and be like, "This is my place now."
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to shoot guns. I
Yeah.
don't have experience with bows and arrows. I'm not
Yeah.
a very fast runner. Um, I could probably, punch a few if I was,
Push them
courageous
away.
enough to
Yeah.
push them away.
Yeah.
I haven't mentioned, so I have that with for me, I guess. And But yeah, I definitely would not be able to face off against a whole horde of them.
Yeah.
And I probably would utilize because my stepdad, my uncle, and a few of my relatives, they do know how to shoot guns. So
Yeah.
I would probably utilize their experience to my benefit in some kind of way.
Yeah.
I'm like, protect me, protect me.
You're like, find family that know how to kill. Yeah. No, well, I'm up in the Blue Mountains, so I'm like, everyone says, "What's your plan?" I'm going like, just stay where I am because everyone's plan is head to the mountains, you know. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll stay here. Got a veggie patch, you know. Don't draw attention to myself. I'll be right.
Yeah, I mean, the chances of if if it was to happen, the chances of a zombie apocalypse to reach as far as the Blue Mountains are very slim.
Yeah.
Because they would probably be more like, excuse me, probably be more likely to be based around major city areas.
Yeah.
So like Sydney or Melbourne or that sort of thing. So in my case, I would probably stay where I am, but yeah, like I said, probably find like a base or something that I could hide in somewhere.
Well, you'd have a lot more prep time because you'd hear about what's happening in the cities and.
Well, time to back.
You're like, well, time to get ready. Yeah. All right, now for the ultimate question. Elon Musk calls you up, says he loves your book, The Freiyon Tales, and offers you to test drive his new electric time machine. What do you do? Where do you go?
Oh, I love that. Well, if I really wanted to time travel, I would probably go back in time to officially meet um, the officially meet C.S. Lewis, I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because Narnia has been a huge, huge inspiration for my books, for my life. A lot of stuff that I've been going through has been majorly inspired by Narnia books, and I would love more than anything to go back in time and actually get a chance to meet him, see what he was like. And I guess congratulate him. Thank him more.
Yes.
Thank him is what I mean.
Congratulations, C.S. Lewis, for inspiring me.
Yeah, you have no idea how much you've inspired me. So yeah, congratulations. Yeah, that's how that was. Actually, thinking about it, I probably would go to every famous author that has written fantasy that I've been inspired by, who has unfortunately passed away, and I would thank them, just personally. I would thank them for their inspiration. I would thank them for everything they have achieved. The funny thing is, like, the time periods that they would come from, they wouldn't know. So I go back and I'm like, thank you for all your inspiration, all your hard work and everything. And they'd probably be like, who are you? What's going on right now?
well, it's interesting because C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were friends.
That's right. Yes.
You could very well just run into a restaurant and they'd be sitting there and you'd be like, hello, you too, I love you.
You have no idea how such a big inspiration you have to the whole world about your stories.
Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. And maybe even go back to properly meet Tutankhamun as well, if I knew how to speak Egyptian. Go back there and be like, so what was your plan? Or maybe even stop him from being killed. I don't know.
You'd need a translator, and somehow not be a threat to them. In case he's like, come here and torture you or something. You don't know what's gonna.
Yeah, well, exactly. No, that's an interesting one. Because like if you. I love Doctor Who. I'm a big fan of Doctor Who, and the whole idea of crisscrossing through time and space is really really interesting. And so when someone is asking what time period would you time travel to if you could, yeah, that would definitely be my answers. Meet all these famous authors and be like, thank you, you've been such a huge inspiration to me and to millions upon millions of other people throughout history. And just keep doing your best, doing what you're currently doing, and you will get there eventually. Because you have to remember back when most of these authors first got off the ground, got their stories published. Well, for one, the internet didn't exist, and for another, the money was a lot less worthwhile than it is now. So it's it wasn't all about trying to get money from it. It was more just getting your idea out there and allowing people to accept what you're writing and give it a chance. And I really appreciate that, because that's essentially what I'm trying to do with my writing as well.
Awesome. Well, before we get into your writing, I want to talk to you about something that we've mentioned on the main show of our podcast, that me and Ryan went to see Weird Al Yankovic in concert. And it turns out that you were there as well.
I was, yes, a couple of weeks ago. Same concert. Same concert.
Yeah.
There you go, right? I actually got the chance to meet Weird Al on that day, on that night, and it was absolutely incredible. I had a VIP ticket, and I was actually in the front row. I don't know.
Were you in the front row?
I was legit in the front row. Like, I could actually touch the stage. I could legitimately touch the stage. I was that close.
Now, we were up top. We were like close to the front row, but up the top section. Looking down. So they were still pretty good seats. But those tickets sold out so fast.
Oh, they did. Yeah, I know. I remember the couple of weeks leading up before the actual performance, people were storming Twitter with things like, "Oh, here I come, Weird Al. This is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be epic." And it was hard to not miss that sort of thing. So it goes to show that Weird Al is still as popular now as he was 10 years ago, or even 15 years ago,
I was surprised by the range of age there, like from old to young to those kids.
I know, it was amazing.
I met when we were lining up to get merch, there was a kid behind us. It was his first ever concert. And his first ever concert is Weird Al. Like, how awesome is that?
That is really good. That is amazing. Like, I met a few people there. I'm really glad I did. They were really nice people. And like I said, I actually did get a chance to briefly talk to Weird Al right at the end. Unfortunately, because the concert went on pretty late, like you were there, it went on pretty late. By the time we actually got to see him and talk to him, it was getting on to midnight. And I think by that time everyone was tired, everyone was packing up. Let's hurry this along. We gotta go home. We gotta go home. So sadly I didn't get much of a chance to say much to him, but I was able, and this is really really special, I was able to give Weird Al Yankovic a copy of my book signed by me.
Awesome.
So I'm really happy about that. I now know that he has that.
Did you say congratulations, Weird Al?
Congratulations for inspiring me. Jeez.
Did he seem grateful for it? Was he like,
he did seem very happy to get it. I think he was a bit surprised. He did say he was going to read it in front of many people, so he has to keep that he has to keep that promise. So but sadly that's not really a guarantee that he's going to like spread it to other people. But that's okay. I'm not too fussed about that. If he by some miracle is watching this, which would be amazing. Hi, and thank you. It was great to meet you.
Yeah. And if you're watching Weird Al, come on the show. We'd love to talk to you.
But yeah, it was really good. The songs were great, of course.
Yeah.
The fact that he had that interesting remake of Amish Paradise at one point was really good, because Amish Paradise is actually my favorite song.
Yeah, mine too.
And when he included it in that, but he had it like remixed or something,
Yeah.
I didn't recognize the beat at first. I'm like, what is this?
Oh, it was a medley, where they put all the songs together in a mashup, and then do a bit of, because he was obviously like, I have to. He mainly did all original, so he's probably like, well, there's going to be people that are like, oh, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, so he's probably doing, okay, this is for all you people that want to, hear those songs. But yeah.
It's interesting that he's still going. He's like 65 now. It's crazy.
Yeah,
he's still
60s,
going.
Yeah.
Like I found that out recently, that he's like in his late 60s now, and it's just amazing. He's still going strong.
Yeah.
He's still doing these tours, and by the sounds of things, he's still making music. So that's great. More power to him.
Have you had a chance to watch his biopic yet?
I did actually watch it. There's so many questions I have about that movie. That they would probably take up their own episode.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, look, it was a parody. Like, so I think I saw in an interview he said that he wanted you to be guessing what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Like, there's obvious things, like his girlfriend wasn't Madonna.
Oh, we know. I knew that.
I knew that. She didn't get kidnapped by Pablo Escobar.
But for like a majority of the movie, it seemed like it was plausible at the least. Some of it was plausible up till that point when she gets kidnapped, and he basically turns into John Wick for brief moment. He turns into John Wick and then he turns into Rambo, and he's like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah. I know for a fact he recorded his first single in a train station bathroom or something like that. So that was true.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
His parents did buy him an accordion from a door-to-door salesman. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But his parents were very supportive of him.
They were supportive.
In the movie, they're not.
Yeah, well, especially the dad. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, I think there's only I think they actually released a short list of things that were actually true to the public, and those things that you said were a few of the things. I think it was about like 5 in the whole entire movie. Oh man! But like, I had to give congratulations to Weird Al, because with this movie, he really put a lot of expectations on this, and like a lot of people were expecting it to be this amazing, true, like actually true story about his life and how he got to where he is now, and that. Yeah. But I think, for me, I secretly knew for a long time that it was going to be a parody. Like, I was there when he did a performance tour in Canberra way back when I was like 18. I think I was 18 at the time. And I remember there was like a brief moment during like music changeover where he had to stop and get into some different gear and then come back into that new gear. I remember they actually had a trailer for the biopic, and this is way before they even decided to include Daniel Radcliffe in it all. So this was the original trailer for what the story was going to be. And the interesting thing about that is it was actually written by a YouTube channel called Funny or Die.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah.
So it was originally made to be a parody.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the exact story is, but Weird Al must have picked up on it. And he was like, yeah, I want to put actual money into this. I want to, actually put some effort into this and make this a reality. And that's how the actual biopic movie happened, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to know that I was there when they officially showed it, to people in that tour back when I was 18, and I'm here now. I'm meeting him, and I've seen the actual biopic, and I know the origins of it all. It's just so crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we could talk about Weird Al for a whole TV series length, But let's talk about your books. But first, before we talk about your book, how did you get into writing? Where did it all begin for you? You mentioned it was you were 7 years old.
Yeah, I was 7 when I started writing. So when I originally started writing, I was actually back in school. So I was in public school, and we had a teacher. I think it was my year 4 teacher, and he was his name was Mr. Fabian, if I remember, which creeps my roommate out because his name is Fabian as well. So he's like, "You talking to me, mate?" No, I'm not talking about you, mate. I'm talking about someone else. But there was a point where Mr. Fabian started reading Paul Jennings books to us now and then for English lessons. And I do remember, I think it was the short story that was called Little Black Balls, I think it was. And when I heard him reading that, something in me clicked. It was like something turned on, and I was just like, I want to start writing like this. I want to start being a writer that brings imagination to others, or makes them cry, makes them laugh, makes them smile, makes them sad. And I felt like this was something that I wanted to work towards. So, interesting enough, the week after that, he actually gave us, like Mr. Fabian gave us a assignment that we had to work on by ourselves. And the assignment was to write a short story based around this little image that was on like a piece of paper. And the plot of it was based around a question relating to that picture. And the question was, imagine if you were walking down a road and you come across an abandoned wrecked car, and it starts to talk to you. Like, what would you do? What would be the situation? You come up with the story behind everything there. And through that, I started writing my official first book, which unfortunately was never actually published. But I've put a lot of effort into this, and a lot of work. 7 years old. But this was my official first story that I'd ever done, and it was called Hank the Abandoned Car. And I remember it very well. Like, obviously, I remember these things very well. And it was exactly that. It was about a kid who found an abandoned, wrecked car in the middle of a street, and the car started talking to him, and this whole adventure would unravel because of that. And I had a scenario, I had characters, I had comedy, I had action, the whole lot. And it actually got me a few awards because people really liked it at school. So I was really happy with that. And I think it was at that point I knew that I was going to be a writer. And basically, I've been writing ever since.
Awesome. So you haven't tried selling it to the people that made Herbie and see if they could do a spin-off?
No. Unfortunately, that story has since fallen to the wayside. I'm probably
Yeah.
not going to try and rewrite it or anything like
Yeah.
that. Mainly because I was concerned with people assuming that I was plagiarizing
Yeah.
other things. For instance, the whole idea of talking cars.
Yeah.
Automatically, people would think of Cars, the
Yeah.
Pixar movie.
Yeah.
But I want to say this: I thought the idea first, so
Yeah.
I started
Yeah.
writing the story
Yeah.
when I was back in 1999. I don't know when Cars was released, but I know it wasn't released then.
No, Cars was mid 2000s, I think. But that being said, the way copyright works in Australia, if you wrote it and you have a record of it, then that's copyright. You don't need to go through some fancy agency or whatever. You just like, as soon as you write it down, that's
Yeah, but I was 7, so I didn't know that.
Well, you should sue Disney.
I should sue Pixar for taking my idea. 7 years old, I wrote.
And because they're like a multi-billion-dollar company, they'll probably just pay you to go away. Either way, you'll win.
Here's $2 million. Go do something else. Go on.
Shoot. All right, let's talk about Freiyon Fables.
Okay, yeah.
Tell us what's it about.
The series in general, or just this particular book? Well,
both.
Well, if we want to focus on the series in general first, so the series is going to be comprised of 3 sections, 3 seasons, if you will, and each one follows a specific storyline. So in season 1, we're following Mick Lane, the squirrel, the main character of Rise to the Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
We're following him as he basically becomes the world of Freiyon. He becomes that world's champion. He becomes the first explorer of this world, and it's a chronicle of all of his different adventures, what he gets up to, who he inspires, or the bad guys he comes up against, and at the end of the day, it's all about him trying to achieve freedom, not just for himself, but for his family and his friends. That's what he really wants to aim for, is trying to get that sense of freedom for everyone. Because he knows firsthand what it's like to be a prisoner. So he wants to help others gain their freedom, whether it be physical freedom or some kind of mental freedom that they have. And that's the essential message of season 1. Season 2 is a little bit tougher. I won't go into it too much because I don't want to, put in any spoilers for it just yet.
Yeah.
But season 2 is going to be about a family who they live in England, and essentially it's sort of like Narnia, where you have this family that go into the magical world and they experience all this stuff for the first time. But I obviously, I put my own little twists and turns in a way different to Narnia. For one, there's this curse that's been laid on the family, and it's been reignited, if you will, because the current family has moved back into the manor that they used to own, and now they re-own it. So there's this curse that they have to try and figure out how to break. And through that, they find their way into the Freiyon world. And yeah, it's a chronicle of all their experiences through both worlds, while they're trying to, find out who put the curse on the family, and also find out a way back home, basically. And that's the essential outline for the second season. And then the third season would be probably the most epic one, because it's trying to tie together all these loose ends that popped up during the first 2 seasons, while also add in new things. And in this third season, it's made pretty clear that there's been a bad batch of people that have sort of been working behind the scenes the whole time, so like pulling strings in certain areas, or doing certain things that have set in stone elements that happen within the Freiyon universe.
Yep.
And everything that happens in season 3 is basically all those loose ends finally coming together and being like, this is how it's going to end. This is how it's going to be. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting that one published, but it's going to be far more epic and very convoluted.
Yeah.
So I definitely wouldn't say it's for kids. Because what I wanted to do with the Freiyon Fables in general was something along the lines of Harry Potter, where it would start off for a younger generation,
Yeah.
you know, say 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, following.
Yeah.
And when they finally get into season 3, they're well and truly adults, and they can, you know, understand all these complicated things that are going on, and basically they can figure out what's going on for themselves.
Yeah. So the book series grows with the audience, or the audience grows with the book series. That sort of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm really excited, and honestly, I'm quite proud with how I've written the 3rd season, for instance. A lot of the stuff that happens within the 3rd season gets a little bit complicated because I involve time travel. And as we all know, time travel in itself is very confusing at times. And so I had to kind of write myself into a corner when it came to doing the time travel aspect. But I think I'm sort of patting myself on the back here, that I approach it in a very smart, very interesting way. And a huge thank you to Doctor Who for giving me the inspiration for it too. But yeah, I hope that answers that question for you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So so it's obviously you've got a whole lot of animals in this. It's very animal based. So why did you choose a squirrel for your main character?
Well, that is interesting. Because you know, as an Australian, people would think, oh, why did you pick, like, say, an echidna or something like that for your main character? I wanted to do a squirrel because, first off, squirrels are native to England, and the story of the Rochesters and Freiyon in generally takes place in England. Some of the locations do take place in America or briefly in Australia as well, but they generally try to stick to an England-based area. And so I wanted to have a small creature that was from England and that people would recognize relatively straight away. And when I was starting to write this, I'm like, okay, it has to be a squirrel because I just love the look of squirrels. They look really cool. I mean, look at those cute little tails. It's so cool. And they also have the unique capability of holding certain things that most animals of that size wouldn't be able to. So like they can actually hold stuff in one paw instead of just always holding it in both paws, you know, and stuff like that. And that got me thinking, okay, you know, that is a little bit more believable, you know. Yes, it is fantasy, but you know, at least things like that could be believable to a sense, you know. And I think that's essentially why I went with a squirrel, because they were recognizable. They had these capabilities, if they wanted to, obviously, and I really like the look of them, and they're just absolutely adorable.
They have a cheeky element to them as well, don't they?
They do, yeah.
They always look like they're up to something. Yeah.
Someone who reviewed my book said, "Oh, if you believe in the school mafia or something like that," I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see that. Yep, okay.
That's funny.
One of the things they said, "Oh, if you believe in the school mafia, there's a bit of that in here too." I'm like, yeah, okay, I can
Okay.
see
Yeah.
that for sure. Oh
Um,
dear.
so where did the idea? Do you remember where the idea came from for the Freiyon Fables?
Well, funnily enough, it was a combination of Narnia, obviously, and actually moving to a place. Um, I briefly was living in a place called Cabargo, which, for those who don't know, is a place here in New South Wales. It's a country-based town, and I briefly moved there with my family. This was before my mum remarried, and when we were there. Um, One of the places that we moved to while we were there had an absolutely gorgeous forested area. And don't get me wrong, the Blue Mountains is gorgeous too.
Yeah.
But there was something about the mix of both farm and forest
Yeah.
together that really got me, that really inspired me. And I think I knew at that point that that would be the main setting for um, the Freiyon world, or at least a majority of the action
Yeah.
in the Freiyon world, which is it's how it turned out because um, if you look up on like Google Maps, the name Rochester, like the city Rochester,
Yeah.
does exist in England. It's a
Yeah.
real place,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a mix of both. It's both country and forest. It's both medieval but also present. And
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do. Um, so yeah, I was heavily inspired by my experience there, and admittedly, at the same time, I was inspired by my fear, which is mannequins. um,
Yeah.
the One of the threats, one of the main bad things that attack the
Yeah.
family in season 2 of the Freiyon Fables is this. I'm not sure what you would refer to it as. It's supposed to be a robot, but it's
Yeah.
like hidden within a shining armor, a medieval shining
All
armor
right. Yeah.
suit.
Yeah.
So you have this thing walking around with shining armor, the sort of thing that medieval knight would wear,
Yeah.
and it's trying to, take down family members. And I was, I'm sorry to say this, Mum, again, I love you, Mum, but this thing scared me to death. I was heavily inspired by both the samurai statue that we actually had and by an experience that I actually saw when I was younger when we went to England for I think it was the second time.
Yeah.
And when we were there, we got the chance to visit a castle that had I think it was the filming set for like a version of the Joan of Arc story.
All right.
And
Yeah.
so they actually had shining armors
Mm.
suits around, as decoration and stuff like that. And I swear to God that one of those suits actually had, the visor, right?
Yeah.
Actually had red glowing eyes. I'm like,
Uh,
you stay away from me. No,
yeah.
you stay
Yeah.
far away from me. Oh man, but that sort of thing, yeah, I do get
Yeah.
inspired by real life events or real
Yeah.
life, trauma sometimes
Yeah.
too, and um, that helped, and living in Cabargo helped, living near Forest helped big time.
Yeah.
A lot of Australian animals still appear in the Freiyon Fables, and a lot of
Cool.
inspiration from real life
Yeah.
events happen throughout the Freiyon Fables series. So um, it's sort of a combination of all of them for
Yeah.
inspiration. Yeah,
No, that's awesome. Not one single thing, just drawing in everything from around you to create. That's awesome.
yeah.
So
talked about where the idea came from, but now that you've got the idea, how did you map it out? How did you go about writing it? Did you just go blah, or did you map it out properly?
um, I admit that when I started writing the Freiyon Fables, I actually started writing the Rochester Runes storyline, which is the second season. I wrote that first. And I wrote it, finished it, done, dusted, felt good, felt happy. And then about 2 weeks later, I looked at it like, I feel like I didn't give enough depth to this world. I really should fix that.
Yeah.
So I went about trying to think of like what would be a good backstory for this world and what could I add that hasn't been explained. What new characters, what new worlds, what new adventures. And through that, I created the Micklane story. And then eventually I was like, okay, I have a middle section, I have a beginning section. Now I really need to work on an ending section, which is how, the last season came together, which, like I said before, was very challenging because it was obviously the most epic one. It was the finale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I had any particular plan from the get-go for it to be a huge, what's going to be now 21 book series.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how many books are going to be in the series in whole. Because I'm dividing them up into small sections. So you have 6 books planned out for Micklane's adventures. You have 7 for the Rochester story, and then hopefully you have 8 for the last series. And it will all come together, it will weave together, and hopefully will be enough to get people's interest for the whole thing. But that was not the plan. Originally, it was not the plan at all. So I think there was a point in my life, I was probably 17 at the time, when I was like, I need to make this a series that feels more alive.
Yeah.
And feels like it could actually be its own world, because up until I was 17, I'd only just written the Rochester Runes. That was it. So and I guess I just was like, yeah, no, I do need to give this more fleshed out characters, more fleshed out situations. And that's how the series came together, and since then I've been trying to I guess branch out into other genres, branch out into other possible ideas, and hoping that they will be just as accepted as the Freiyon Fables is gaining. So I'm really happy with how I've been progressing with it all.
Awesome. Well, look, before we wrap it up, I remember when we were talking before off camera or off recording, you had a marketing strategy thing that you were working on. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I'm sorry, I forget what it was called, but
that's okay. That's right. So this is probably the weirdest way to market a story. For those who don't know, I recently found out about this this thing called ARG, which stands for Alternative Reality Game. And with these ARGs, you can create a story that the audience finds out by piecing together codes, by finding missing messages, by following links through YouTube videos, that sort of stuff. And there's just so many out there. There's a huge amount out there. But the one thing that I've kind of been put off by is the fact that most of these RGs, if not a huge majority of them, they are all horror based. They are very much into the whole idea of it being creepy and that sort
of mannequins everywhere.
So no, none of that. So with my idea, what I'm trying to do is I've taken on the idea of the multiverse being a thing. So, multiverse madness,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and all that. So, I have created a company. It's not a real company, but I've created a company that essentially acts like an information hub. So you go there if you want to find out more about another universe. And you can also go there if you want to say for a little while before you go to that other universe, sort of like a preparation point, I suppose. And the idea is that this company has been going on for millions of years. And they recently found, just so happened to have recently found, the existence of a new universe, which just so happens to be called the Freiyon universe, which is how it ties in with my series. Because this ARG that I've started, it's essentially a book marketing ARG. It's to help get people more aware of my stories. Like even if they don't buy it from, like, say, social media pages or anything like that, they can still find stuff to do with it through this ARG. I don't want to go into it too much because I want to try to avoid as much spoilers as I can, because that will break the immersion of it all. But I will say a couple of things. First off, there is definitely something going on in the company that people need to find out. So they need to solve this mystery that's going on. And secondly, how it relates to Freiyon is that there's a series of characters, like 3 or 4 characters, that do pop up in the Freiyon universe, who they also are mentioned in this company. And they're mentioned in a way that's like, well, they're, how do I put it? They're mentioned in a way to make it seem like they are actually in the company, like they're maybe doing something physical in the company, or talking to someone, and it's interesting because all this is happening at the same time as the Freiyon series is unfolding. So there, straight away, you have this conflicting timeline idea, like, has this already happened? Is this going to happen? Is it in the past? You're not sure. And that's why it's an ARG, because you as the audience, you need to find the clues, find the codes, and figure it all out. I'm proud to say that I've already done and dusted with the first chapter of it. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. Yeah, so if anyone is interested in that, I can provide you a link to the channel if you like. I can provide you a link to the YouTube channel to get started on that if you like.
Send it through and I'll drop it in the show notes. And hopefully people will jump on.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. It's going to be my biggest project, like, no doubt about it. It's going to be my biggest project of my entire life. So I'm really excited about it.
Yep. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Justin. Do you want to let people know where they can grab a copy of your books? Do you have a website? Do you have socials? Just plug yourself away.
Right, yes. I do have my own author website, so you can find that website under Justin T. Hunt, which I think is Justin T. Hunt Wix site, I believe. I'll just confirm that on Google, of course. Because this is actually a website that I myself made, so I've got to make sure I get it correct. So I'll pop it into your chat notes, but it is martinvsmclean.wixsite.com/Justin T. Hunt. I know it's a long one. I'll send that to you through chat.
Send it through. Guys, the link will be in the show notes.
I also know that Shawline has obviously got their copy of it on their site. which is Shawline Publishing. And you just have to look for Freiyon Fables Rise to the Challenge. I'll put that in the chat notes too. You can get ebook and you can buy it. Apparently, there's Barnes and Noble listing for it too. So if you're overseas in America or something, you can definitely get it through that. So I shall provide the Barnes and Noble site and the Amazon site as well. So that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's 4. Okay, good. So that's 4 different places you can get. I actually have physical copies that I'm selling to people in general. And so if anyone's interested and they just so happen to be in Wagga, that's where I live. More than happy to sell copies.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on, and we'll be sure to get you back on when you have another book out, and maybe you want to come back on and just talk about Weird Al. We're pretty open to that sort of thing. But
talk about how much he inspired me.
Yes. Hey, well, look, I did the same thing. I wrote a book called Letters from the Emu War, self-published it myself. Obviously, Shawline picked it up. But I found out that John Cleese is making a movie. John Cleese, Rob Snyder, and some other Australian comedian I hadn't heard of. They're making a movie on the same subject. So I reached out to John Cleese on his website, got in touch with his PA, and sent him a book sent him my book. So he's got it. I don't know if he's read it. I haven't heard anything.
Fingers crossed. You don't know.
Either way, he's held it in his hands, even if he dropped it in the bin. You know, it's I can say John Cleese held my book. You know, so yeah, that's such an awesome feeling. You know, but yeah, thanks guys for listening. As always, if you're an author and you want to come on, reach out to thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com or send us a message on Instagram, stories_podcast. And I guess we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.